Just got done queen checking this yard. I requeened 13 in here 11 days ago, and 2 of them didn't accept those queens. I think those 2 may have had queens in process. This one is the one that everybody heard a virgin queen piping in. I heard that too when I was editing the video. I did not hear it when I was out here. It's funny that everybody caught it, or so many caught it. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that they had a virgin in here, and I dropped a mated queen in. They probably killed her. There's no eggs in there yet. I didn't go through every frame though, and 11-day-old virgin may not be laying yet, so I'll have to check it back in another couple weeks. And one over here rejected their queen and made some emergency cells, so we'll see how they do. But yeah, it's a pretty good acceptance rate, I'd say. 2 problems out of 13. I'll take that. I brought my box lifter with me today.
Box lifter?
Box lifter.
That's all I get.
Yep. I lifted the boxes off and he lifted them back on, and while I went to the next hive. It's really nice when you get to a point in life where you can afford a box lifter.
I gotta get a different name.
Find myself once again trying to work on next year's honey crop. We've got a lot of rough ground here on the farm that used to be pasture, but we don't have cattle anymore, so it's not maintained, and it grows up in briars and trees and privet and multiflora rows, and it's just a mess. I have to bush hog it, every year to really keep on top of it. It's not doing anything for me. Bees don't work briars, blackberry much here in Tennessee. We don't get a honey crop from it, so I am trying to convert this ground into something that will make money for me. I'm spraying Remedy, which is triclopyr, and doing it out of an orchard wand, and it's a slow process. I've been at this for 2 days now, just cleaning up fence rows and going through and killing brush and briars and trees and all sorts of stuff, so that this fall I will have some relatively clean ground that I can sow some sweet clover on, and then run a disc over it, and hopefully get a stand of sweet clover going. Sweet clover would be blooming about now, and my bees are in a dearth right now. So I think if I can get 10 or 15 acres of sweet clover going, then it would give me a flow in between the end of my main flow, which is done, persimmon's over with, and in between that and Sumac sourwood about the middle of June. So yeah, I'm gonna spend 3 or 4 days this week just riding around the farm spraying. We've got a couple 100 acres, so it takes a little while, especially with the equipment that I've got. We're not row croppers, so I don't have big equipment. So it's June the 5th, and I've spent 4 days now spraying the farm. I've not done that since I started scaling my bee business to a full-time career. This is the first year that I have felt like I've had extra money and just a little chunk of extra time to be able to do it, and I knew it wasn't. That's something that if you do it every 2 or 3 or 4 years, you can keep the place in shape where you're not losing open ground. But if you go much more than that, you start to have problems. You need a forestry mulcher or something to come in, or a whole lot of work in the winter to get it cleaned up. Trees and brush just get too big. So I've sprayed, I don't even know, 6 or 8 gallons of triclopyr, I think. And yeah, it just takes a while. Really rough ground, steep. Parts of it are really steep. I'm keeping old logging roads and stuff, access to parts of the property open. And there's a lot of places that you could flip a tractor, so it's slow going. And to get good coverage, I'm standing on the clutch and the brakes all the time on the tractor. It's just It's actually, you would think riding the tractor is like a break, but this is really physical. Using an orchard sprayer, orchard wand, going around steep ground, standing on the clutch and the brake at the same time for 3.5, 4 days. I'm beat. So I'm taking a break now. I'm going through some of my Corey Stevens virgins. I marked my first one like Monday. I wanted to see one. So that was like 11 days after I installed them, which is too soon to be looking for mated virgins or mated queens and marking them. So now that I'm got another chunk of work done, I can circle back to this. And then tomorrow, next 4 days, starting tomorrow, it's supposed to rain. So I'll be in the honey house getting ready to start pulling my honey crop. Get everything ready for that. So of course, this year is a blue year. I'm using blue pins on queens. But on these queens that I brought in, that are VSH stock, I'm using an orange marker on those. Did that 2 years ago, and the orange really does show up well. It holds up good, and when I see those, I will know instantly, what queen line that is. So that might change some management decisions down the road. I don't know why orange isn't a color in the routine. It really is one of the easiest colors to spot that I've seen. I think white might be the easiest. Red and dark green are probably the hardest. Orange is super easy to spot. So I'm sitting here looking for a queen. She's in there somewhere. And I didn't even know it, but there was a swarm right here in the tree above me. And they just took off. So they must have found a house. There will be streakers in this cloud of bees telling them which way to go. They're not headed toward one of my swarm traps, so that's bad. Small swarm. So the first nuke I looked in, I found a couple of emergency cells. And then the queen that I found in there was laying, but she was pretty small. Like she didn't have a real extended abdomen yet. And I don't know what happened. I don't think that's a Corey Stevens queen. And maybe an emergency queen came out and took some bees, and that was her. Or maybe that's the Corey Stevens queen. I don't know. Bees being crazy. June 8th, and smooth sumac is just about in bloom. It is in bloom, but I don't think the florets have opened yet. Not seeing any bees working that yet. But in the next 4 or 5 days, that should be producing. It's been pretty consistent for me. It's generally a decent flow. Some years the bees will draw white wax on it, some years they won't, but they generally will gain weight year over year. There's some shining sumac next to this smooth sumac, and it won't bloom until July. It's not pushing out flower heads yet. We had a pretty good sourwood bloom last year. I don't think it's going to be quite as strong this year, but it's not bad. You can see some trees down in there that are pushing out bloom. So in this location, that should get started in the next 1 to 2 weeks. We We've had good soil moisture, a lot of rain recently, so hopefully it'll dry up some. Extractor number 1, extractor number 2, both draining into a clarifying tank. This, of course, has got a float switch, and I've made some improvements in where honey goes from here this year. I've made some improvements to the clarifying tank. I've got a threaded union with an L-type ball valve on here. This side is reduced to 3/4 and garden hose, so I can hook a garden hose to this, run it to a floor drain that allows me to clean the inside of my clarifying tank easily once I get all the honey out of it. This side runs to honey. We'll talk about that in a second. Another thing I've done this year is the drain plug for the water jacket. That's a 3/8 plug, which is dumb. I don't know why they make it 3/8 instead of half, but anyway, I took that from 3/8 to half and then put a boiler drain on it. So again, I can hook a garden hose to this and drain the water jacket. Last year, I got done with the clarifying tank. I was like, well, how do I get the water out of the jacket so I can clean the thing? It's too heavy to move with the water in the jacket, so you just let it run out on the floor. It's a whole lot better. I don't know why you can't spend an extra $4 or $5 and put a boiler drain on that. It's whatever. Anyway, they don't do it. Honey comes to here, and last year I was running the clarifying tank with the only honey pump that I had, and halfway through the season I needed to bottle honey and had to refill my bottling tank, so had to unhook all this, and I had no way to drain this line. So this year, the end of this line, I've got a ball valve. I can shut this line off, and so that I don't have to disconnect everything, I've got a second honey pump. This one will probably end up being the one that I use to pump honey into my bottling system. And it's bigger. It's a Dadant 1.5-inch pump. Dadant and Man Lake both sell this same Roper 1.5-inch stainless pump, but the Dadant one has different gears or different pulley sizes in here, so you can change the speed for different viscosities of honey. And it comes with a 1-horse motor. The Man Lake one is a 3/4 horse motor and doesn't have the extra pulleys. And then the Maxant pump that I've got is a 1/3 horsepower, and it's a 1-inch pump. So it is very reliable, but it's slower. Putting this thing up on top of this shelf, I'm a little concerned that it's not going to self-prime. We'll see. It's 5 foot tall. My other one is also on top of a shelf because that makes it really easy to roll over to the sink and run hot water through it from one bay to the other and clean the pump out. This thing is like 120 or 30 pounds, so I was concerned about that much weight being just on this shelf. So I did weld a bracket that transfers the load straight onto all 4 legs. I still need to get that bolted down so it can't move. Now I'm a little concerned about having that much weight at the top of this shelf, so I might need to, I don't know, put some block or something on the bottom shelf just to change the center of gravity. That's a new labeling machine. I'm waiting on some labels to come in a number 4 wine position so I can try that out. Excited about that. I'm a little nervous about the investment, whether it's going to work the way I want it to or not. Anyway, I've got honey comes through the pump, and I've welded up this wall bracket, just some angle there and some hose clamps, piece of flat bar. That offsets the ball valve by 9 inches. So it'll go straight down into a drum. And then when I'm swapping drums, I can keep that line from dripping. That's a big deal. Being able to shut the lines off will be a big deal. Being able to shut this line off, because there's no way that I can back drain this into the clarifying tank. I cannot do that. So shutting that line off and shutting that ball valve off, I'm going to lose a minimum amount of honey out of that junction. Just whatever's in that 45. So that won't be but a few ounces. And I can shut this line off, drain that entire line into a bucket. And having the pump up high, everything drains away from the pump, which is really nice. Everything is set so it goes away from the pump. That makes cleanup so much easier. I really, really, really hope that this thing will self-prime this high. My other pump does it fine. I don't know if this one will. I suspect I'm gonna have to put some honey in the top end of it, and then I hope it will prime, but we'll see. I'm probably gonna have to run a few buckets of honey into the clarifying tank just to make sure this is gonna work before I get honey supers in here and have to extract. So that's a kind of a critical hurdle I've got to clear up. I've got to know that that works. Excited about this. This thing's an investment. Heck, this shelf is an investment. Anybody buying solid stainless shelving knows that. Everything in here is an investment. Look around and just see dollar signs everywhere flying out of my pocket. But I think this is going to work. I think it's going to make life a lot easier for me. This is going to be really nice. Having a static place that's easy to clean, that I can shut off to fill drums with. Or heck, I could put a drop line on here and fill buckets if I wanted to. It'd be great. I may eventually get another inline filter and mount on the wall here and filter honey before it goes in the drum. But I'm not ready to spend money on that just yet.